Hey, everything goes. Let's go. Feel. Everything goes when the homies hate your personal take. Shakur of a tank type of take, it be hurting you to rank. Heated debates about who's better between the birds or the saints. Or post games in which Diggs is really worse than the paint. And John, Ian, and Dan on the pod, future icons. Ian screaming go birds and Dan trying to fight John. A Rockets fan with the Saints from Philly with a python. Cross me and the boy step over him like he Tyron. Eagle season end with a bowl and nobody sober. Let the Saints be the chance and Dan on bourbon and Nola. Everything goes. Place your bets with us, take the over. Philly niggas wanna see how rare that we gon' make October. At game time is game time. Need your picks and can clutch it. Gave my ticket to John, brought me back with a bucket. CP3 on the assist and Kawhi be getting his touches. But I'm watching Bron cooking my ticket and I'm like fuck it. Let Ian tell it. He gon' say that Bron is the GOAT. Coming back from 3-1 and barely had him a coach. MJ don't got these records so we laughing the most. And I watched it with my own eyes so now I'm back in the host. I get my locks from Dan and lock it in on fantasy picks. Number one in every league, they can't stand me with this. I'm fleecing the league with every trade I dismantle it quick. Wave a wire watching the pod to help me handle the shit. Legendary status, keep watching, we gon' reach that. But reach too far, my rocket shooting and I gotta teach that. Fill the gap with a hit stick. Think I don't see that Hall of Fame vision switching from B-Dog to the T-Man. On your wrist, John Dane time and everything froze. Errol Spence washed up then and everyone knows. You can't see, I see 3 when comparing to those. Cause every podcast can't handle when everything goes.
Damn.
You read that joint be hitting every time.
Bro, Kizzy. I got hit to my man John. You know what I mean?
Welcome back to Everything Goes. Today I'm in the studio with my man E.
What's up with y'all?
And we're gonna jump right in. Well, no, excuse me. Before we jump right into it, I just want to thank everybody that's tapped in and everybody that will tap in. Your support is very much appreciated. Before we jump into our topics and games for today, we got to start with some breaking news. Some breaking news to a lot of people, especially me. The Seattle Seahawks taking home the Lombardi Trophy this year. How you feel about it? Yeah, hold on. Before you get your take, I gotta pull it up because you was rocking with Seattle. Even I don't know why.
Man, you heard my man Craig. He said I watched it with my own eyes, so now I'm back in the host. Did you see what they defense did to Drake May? I said that last week. Like, and it wasn't a bold prediction or an out the park pick. It was we watched football and they defense did what they were supposed to do for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. This week was no different. I was about to say the rookie tackle. He's not a rookie, but he's like a second or third year. The boy I think his name Will Johnson. He got destroyed. The line as a whole was in shambles. It just didn't look good. And I know last week I said I was on a Drake May hate watch. That's just more about me wanting my prediction to be, correct. I don't hate Drake May.
I was definitely gonna ask you about it. Did you enjoy your
I felt a
watch?
little bad, bro. I felt bad watching that junk because he looked like prime Eli Manning. Like every time Eli made a mistake and he walked off the field, he looked sad. Like that's how it looked to watch Drake May had that experience. But it builds character. So he got plenty of time to see if he can get back. And that's a discussion for another time. But I ain't surprised at what happened and well deserved to the Seahawks.
Definitely well deserved to the Seahawks. And I mean, honestly, from start to finish, even though it was a quote unquote close ball game going into halftime with the score only being, 12-0, we kind of knew that the Patriots, we kind of knew that the Patriots was already out of the game. With the way that the Seattle defense was playing, if they did not come out in the third quarter and score a touchdown on that opening drive, ball game was over. They went out there, they got a first down, and then they do nothing after that. And then it was right back to 3 and out. But instead of it just being 3 and outs, it started being turnovers. You had Drake May with the interception. Then you had it was 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six. It was a fumble / interception, got knocked out of his hands, but it never fell. They housed it. So it's like everything was falling apart for them. So it really, to me, watching the game, it was never without a doubt that Seattle was going to win the game once the game started. So with that being said, we got to get into some controversy that happened this week. Well, no, that night. Puka Nakua
Yeah.
took that night. Puka Nakua took right to Twitter. He only had 2 words to say to the people, and the 2 words was Sam Darnold with the smack in the face emoji. How you feel about that?
Man, he got all that hate in his heart. Like for what, bro? Like, and I'm not even gonna lie. He's not the only person
That
in the
feel that way.
world. He's not the only person in the world. Not the only person in the NFL that feel like, wow, like this who we just let win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like it's multiple perspectives that you can look at it from. You can look at where he came from and where he started. You can look at what his recent resume is, and his recent resume
Mm-hmm.
say that he deserved to be there.
Exactly.
Even though that's only 2 3 years worth of, and not even three, that's 2 years. 2 years of regular season play that's showing that he's capable of NFL football. But
Mm-hmm.
he got it done this year. He had a better he had a better
Better.
defense.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing attack might have been a little bit more loaded in terms of the backfield because they had
And
two healthy running backs
consistency.
for the most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I'm not surprised. I mean, like we had to talk about not trusting Sam, but I don't think this bowl was about trusting Sam. I think it was about the Seahawks defense being who we thought they were, and
Mm-hmm.
Sam did his job, and he didn't lose the game until it was time to go make little plays, and he made those little
He made
plays. So,
exactly.
I'm not shocked at all. I'm kind of disappointed in Puka. Because I feel like once you reach to this level, there's no reason to hate. Like you
Exactly.
arguably the best receiver in the league. Like you could give anybody they props, division rival or
Exactly.
not. You could have been quiet. You enjoy your drunk night, but you ain't gotta
Exactly.
put
You
that
don't
bad
got to
energy
take
out
the
in the
Twitter.
world. Yeah,
I
at all.
agree. I agree with everything you just said, bro. It's really no need for me to further elaborate on that. Honestly, honestly, because Puka, like, that's the only thing I do want to say about it. Looking at it from this aspect, like you just said, Puka already reached the level to where people consider him, if not the best receiver in the league, he's definitely top three, or at least in everybody top five, bare minimum. So you
Facts.
got that, on your side, and it's not just the first year. It's been like that. It's been like that the last 2 years, and honestly, the last 3 years you was, but that first year you didn't get the respect because you had to do it again. Okay,
Right.
cool. You just did it again for 2 straight years, and I'm saying all that to say you are a great wide receiver. When we talk about winning Super Bowl rings, that mainly affects quarterbacks. That's not even like obviously you want to go out there and you want to compete and you want to win a Super Bowl ring, but for you to be hating on another quarterback, a quarterback, what is that got nothing to do with you, honestly.
Right. Right. Like
And y'all lost to
outside
him.
of the fact that he sent you home last week, but
Exactly,
when he
y'all
sent
lost
you
to him.
home, he threw for 360. Like so,
You,
you laughing, but he just
yeah,
cooked your team. Like.
granted, you don't play defense, but you should not be talking because he torched your defense.
Yeah, and you had a front row ticket for the free ski to watch it.
Now, now it would be a little bit different if the defense went in there and shut down the Rams and Sam Darnold had a pedestrian game. It's like damn, we lost to that great. No,
Right.
I'm not gonna say he outdo Matthew Stafford because he didn't, but they played neck and neck. Like both of them leaving the field, neither one of them could have their head hung low, regardless of who won or lost that game.
Facts.
So yeah, I don't like that from Puka Nakua. But so yeah, moving on to our first game of today. We got some catcher pass for you guys. We're bringing it back, but we only got one statement for catcher pass this week, and that statement for catcher pass is the Cavs are contenders after acquiring Harden.
I'm catching. That's easy to me.
Hey,
I'm catching.
you know what? I appreciate that.
Bro, they didn't lose anything in the draft and in the trade. They
No.
traded a draft pick and DG. DG already a part-time hooper, and I love DG. I
Hmm.
love his game. I love,
But he
his approach
inconsistent.
to
It
basketball. He
is what
played
it is.
basketball the right way. But, we see what we see. Like you on the floor when you on the floor, and he got that Sixers Harden kind of approach to basketball where it's like I'm capable of that 25, but I don't feel like it right. You mean like I'm gonna do my job and I'm gonna do that only. And sometimes that's cool. Like it's certain organizations where they got a scorer or a star player that you can defer to, and you just got to
Hmm.
run the offense and exist. But when you 6'2" and you're not elite on defense, and
That's
you're not even close to elite on defense, like you are a target on defense, you're not getting 15 assists a game, you got to be able to put up 17, 18, 19 points
yes.
consistently. And he's not doing that.
No.
Harden brings that to the team. And the difference between DG and Harden is even if Harden going to have his chill nights, for every chill night, he got a 40 ball too. where he got a
Exactly.
35 ball too, and DG don't got that. Um, DG also don't have the playoff experience that Harden do. And as much as people try to paint him as a playoff choker and stuff like that, in recent years we've seen big time games from Harden. At his premier age. So I don't
Hmm.
think that'll be an issue. And like we've been talking all year thus far that the East is as wide open as it's been in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think they are absolutely contenders with Harden on this roster. I'm excited to see what they look like in the next few months.
Me too. So this was easy for me. I'm gonna definitely catch this train as well. I definitely do think the Cavs are now legit contenders in the East because, like Ian just pointed out, to me, it's not one team you can look at in the East and say, okay, that's who's coming out. It's a whole bunch of teams. You got the Pistons, you got Boston. However you look at them, you got the Knicks. You still got the Sixers that's in the mix. So it's like you really don't know. And now you got the Cavs was already in the mix, but now I feel as though they just overtook a lot of those teams that we're uncertain
Facts.
about because of
Facts.
the certainty of James Harden. And like Ian just pointed out with his playoff, whether you want to call him meltdown, success, however you want to describe his playoff experience, although he may have games where he's not going to get you that 25, 30 in the postseason, you're never gonna see James Harden go on the court and have 4 or 5 assists. If he don't got 25, I bet you he got 10, 11, 12 assists. And he's going to get other guys involved. And that's the one thing that the Cavs been missing. I'm glad that Ian pointed it out because Darius Garland, yes, he does his job well, but there's also nights where he'll go out there and you'll see a 12-5 game from him, and that's not what you need from your starting point guard that's supposed to be helping Donovan Mitchell carry the
Yeah,
load.
like you got to be
That's,
the number
that's
2 or 3 option on a nightly
exactly.
basis, and you're
And,
not
and
that.
if you don't want to be the number two option scoring the ball wise, go get 11 assists. Go get 12 assists. Y'all got plenty of guys that can score the ball on your team, but y'all got rhythm guys. Y'all got guys that y'all got to get them their shots early, probably a couple quick, easy buckets, and now they locked and loaded for the game.
Right.
James Harden is going to do that very well. And so this is nothing but beneficial for the Cavs, I think. So yeah, moving on to our next topic for today. We got some more before the bell, the boxing edition. Hold on, we gotta pull it up for y'all. We got 3 things on the radar that we gotta discuss this week for before the bell. The first thing I want to talk about is Earl Spence Jr. is returning this year against Tim Zoo. Target date is for June 6th. Obviously, nothing is signed yet, but they are. Well, no, I heard that something may be signed. We're just waiting on the official announcement. So before
Right.
I continue with everything else, how you feel about this, A?
Bro, I'm excited, bro. I follow Earl on Instagram, and he posted a video the other day. The cuz posted like a tribute video to him or whatever, and it was like Earl, the reason why I fell in love with boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna say, I fell in love with boxing, but my recent or modern day interest in boxing, Earl was the first dominant boxer that I watched more
Mm-hmm.
than one fight of. Like my intro to boxing just being from Philly, like actually sitting down and watching something that was a homegrown something was Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
And like I watched Danny when Earl came back from the car accident and he cooked Danny. That's my intro to Earl. I watched him cook Sean Porter after that. I watched him, and then I went back and did, some research.
Mm-hmm.
Some fights that you suggested, some of your brothers suggested, but I love Earl. And I was rooting for him when, when he had the experience that he had a couple years ago. And
Uh-huh.
I ain't like that he disappeared after that. I respect that you gotta take time to get your mental together and handle that. But I'm happy to see that, he coming back and he come back for blood, I believe. I heard people already talking about he washed. I heard somebody say Spence about to get his ass whooped again. Like that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I heard the boy Tim Zoo getting a tune-up fight before the Spence fight as well. So
Right. That
he
should
got
tell you
something to
something.
come back. Yeah, like he got
That should
something to
tell
come back and prove as well. We don't think that he is the same fighter that he once was
you.
either.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they two hungry fighters. It'll make for a good fight. But
Yes.
I'm happy to see Spence back in the ring, and I hope he still got something left in the tank.
I'm gonna echo everything you just said, Ian. As you guys know, I don't know about everybody watching, but if you don't know, Earl Spence Jr. is my favorite fighter. So now you do know. He's been my favorite fighter. Yeah, he's been my favorite fighter for almost 10 years now, and I've seen so many of his fights. And obviously, watching the fight a few years ago with Crawford. I did not expect it to go that way, but since that happened, I definitely did want to see him back in the ring, even if he's not trying to go on another legacy run. Just give us another fight. That's honestly all I wanted to see. I didn't want to see him hang it up and retire like that. So I'm
Right.
definitely glad that he's coming back. And like Ian said, this is a great fight because it's two hungry fighters. You got Earl Spence Jr. versus Tim Tszyu. Whether I want him to try to get back to the top or not, the winner of this fight puts themselves right back in position to be talked about at 154 and to possibly get title shots and title opportunities at 154. So who knows? Earl might just come back for another legacy run. Maybe them almost 3 years off was what he needed. Cause
Right.
like yeah, he been through a lot. Like Ian pointed out, he did have the car crash accident that was life threatening, but it wasn't one of them. It happened twice. So he had two life threatening car crash injuries, and then the Crawford incident. So maybe the time off was great for him. And then I also seen footage that he's working with Roy Jones Jr. I don't know if that's going to be his trainer, but they're in the gym together, and I just love to see that. So yeah, moving on to my second thing for before the bell. This for my Philly fans out there, and we might be getting it, and we might be getting this soon. Boots versus Virgil Ortiz is in the works, and the target date I think they said was April 16th. They claim that we will be getting an announcement this week that the fight is on. How you feel about it, A?
You know how I feel, man. Like they said last year was the best year for boxing and a great year for boxing, and this year they
It's,
starting off with heated. You mean we got Shakur at the end of January, so that kind of fill in the February slot too.
uh,
Then they already cooking up something for April and June, so it's like an every month off kind of thing. I'm excited. I think they two, good fighters. Ortiz, he stood out in his last performance as did Boots, so they both feel like they got something to prove, and they at this, star level where they feel like I'm him and I'm about to show y'all why I'm that. So, obviously I'm on the Boot side of things. I'm in that corner, whatever corner that's gonna be. But I think it's gonna be a good fight, and I'm excited to see what happens from
Gotcha. So, Ian, we just on one accord tonight because I'm agreeing with everything you just said. I'm definitely in Boots' corner for this fight, but could I see a world where Virgil catch Boots with a shot he don't see and win the fight? Yes, and I don't. When I say that, I don't want to make it seem like I'm only giving Virgil a puncher's chance. I know how. I know how talented Virgil is, how great of a fighter and boxer that he is. So obviously, stepping into the ring, I don't look at it as a legitimate 50-50. I do slightly favor Boots, but not even on no 60-40. I think it's a 55-45, honestly. I do think Boots is faster. I think he's more athletic than Virgil. I do think he have the higher IQ than Virgil, although you can argue, well, it's not an argument. Virgil have more experience. He's fought better fighters, and you can argue the power. Who has more power? We do see that Virgil got the one punch knockout, but then we also see Boots hit somebody with a two piece or a three piece, and they sleep as well. So
it.
it's all about landing that right combination. So we definitely going to see it's going to be a great fight, and it's going to be an exciting fight. And I do think it's going to be more competitive than the fight we just seen January 31st. And that's my transition to the big news that I definitely want to talk about here on Before the Bell. Shakur Stevenson is now ranked number 3 pound for pound after his flawless victory over Teofimo Lopez on January 31st. He talked to me. How you feel about it?
Bro, he told y'all like he told y'all what it was. He been talking his talk, and I think that when you look at these names on the list in terms of just a recent workload and what they've been putting in, I think it's hard to argue that he's anything lower than where he at now. I think that probably the only person from what I've seen in the last 3 or 4 years of boxing that I might put over him is Bivol. But he hurt, and it's the other stuff that go into that.
Almost a
But
year.
like you said, that last fight was flawless. And that's against a big dog. You mean like Ring Magazine belt on top of taking his belt. You mean as well. So I think that everything that Shakur put on display. I was about to say last week, what 2 weekends ago,
Mhm.
he earned where he at right now. And one thing I do want to say, I seen a whole lot of people saying like on major platforms. I'm talking about people on Instagram. I'm talking about podcast
Twitter
saying
podcast.
like he boring, and I'm like, bro, like I've heard it before in terms of defensive fighters like a Floyd or something like that being boring, but Shakur wasn't like jab and slip. Like Shakur was killing him with the jab, and it was combination like
And
that
he was
was.
space
And
all
again,
night.
I'm new to boxing, bro. That was a masterclass. I could see that with my eyes. I'm a basketball guy. It was I don't understand how you can like the sport unless you just want to see barbaric knockouts. Like unless you want to see George Foreman fights when he was 300 pounds every fight. Like I
Mhm.
don't know how you don't enjoy that. I think that his work ethic, and man, it speaks for itself. You see what was out there, and it's consistent. So I think it's deserved. And shout out to Shakur. He's gonna keep moving his way up the ranks.
Exactly. And so, once again, I agree with everything you just said. And I do just want to point this out to you because I think I've told you this before, also in the chat, told you and John numerous of times. The one thing I hate about boxing is majority of boxing fans are casuals. So what you just said, that's exactly what they want to see. They want to see wars. They want to see barbaric fights. They want to see fights where it's constantly exchanging, there's constant action, both guys is getting hurt. Is danger on both sides. You don't know who's going to win. They don't want to go in there and they don't want to see a master class and his jabs and his slips and his right hands, and they want to say that he's running even though he's in his face all night. That's
Like,
that
like,
like
like, what is? Like, I don't understand. What more do you want to see? Like,
is
man,
that. And the one thing I do want to point out too, now that the fight is over, we got a good amount of people, once again, like you said, on large platforms, pointing out the fact that, oh, Teofimo, he was just a good style matchup for Shakur, and just look at the way that he fight, and you could just tell that his mind was weak, and that you'll be, if you can get into his mind, that you can win a fight. So I'm not that impressed. But these are the same guys that was just saying a couple months ago, go fight Teofimo Lopez. I bet you he knocked you out. Like literally,
and it wasn't close.
exactly.
Like, it wasn't
After
a point in the fight where we
where
thought
it
that it was
looked
going
like
to
he
become
might
a
have
fight.
exactly.
Like the only thing you might have thought was like, yo, I hope Tia don't slip a punch in there that push a cord down because that'll
Uh-huh.
be robbery, and it didn't
Exactly.
happen.
Shakur was working him all night.
Like the whole fight, bro.
Exactly. So I don't understand it. Y'all got to give him his flowers. Teofimo Lopez is a proven dog in the sport. He got big time wins over Lomachenko, another big time win over Josh Taylor, another big time win over Arnold Barbosa. That's just to name a few guys. This we're talking about a former quote unified champion. He was really undisputed. He didn't want to pay the sanctioning fees. A former two-time undisputed, two-time Ring Magazine champ. That's who Shakur just made look like a nobody. What are like?
Correct.
Come on.
Correct. He looked
It's,
just like the boy that they pulled off the street 2 weeks or 2 days before the fight, like last summer, and we found out he was an electrician or something, and he got that payday.
uh-huh.
That's exactly how Teal looked in the ring,
Look
and
exactly. Theo
Shakur is the
look
constant.
exactly like the electrician. So clearly, it don't
Come
matter
on,
who in
bro.
that ring. Don't matter who in that ring. He gonna work. He gonna work. And I think he proved that on the biggest stage possible. Like I said, to put this in football terms, this is a Super Bowl type of fight. This is another quote unquote great of your generation. You got others still out there. Obviously, you got Javante Tank Davis, you got Devin Haney, and then you got Ryan Garcia. Those are the other three that you eventually have to take down if you get the opportunity to fight those three. But you just took down one, and right now, he had the best resume as far as accomplishments. You can argue that Devin might have the best names on his resume, but I'm not even sure now after what Shakur, this little 6 months he just did with beating William Zepeda and Teofimo Lopez, he now might have the best resume when you still add in Oscar Valdez and Edwin De Los Santos and Jamel Herring. Like his resume is looking great right now. And so yeah. Let's move on to our topic for today. We got some more football for you guys. Will Drake May get back and win another Super Bowl?
I told you what I think already earlier, bro. You let me know. I want to hear what you got to say.
So honestly, I want to start by saying I do like Drake May. I think he had a hell of a year although he struggled in the postseason, I would say starting in the divisional round, he still had a great showing. He still made the plays necessary in the divisional round to get over that great Texans defense that a lot of people might not agree with me. Even though the Seahawks just won last night, I still think that is the second best defense that we've seen this year. I still think that Texans defense was the best defense in the league this year, and we saw what he was able to do against them. And so, honestly, I think he has, because I got to give a yes or no. Looking at the landscape of the AFC, because it's really tough. Because this year, if you was going to do it, this was going to be the year. No Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. Bo Nix get hurt. You don't got to play Josh Allen because Bo Nix took him out. So you didn't have to see none of the other five. Okay, you saw Justin Herbert, who we know choke in the postseason.
And my
So
man hand was broke. Feel me?
you mean it was okay, and we was blocking for him. So exactly. So
Real
you
rap, yo.
exactly, exactly. So you got number 6 or 6, and you got past him, and then you didn't have to play the rest of them, and you just couldn't get it done. But he's still young. That defense, the Patriots defense is shockingly good, and they're just gonna get even better. And Christian Gonzalez, if they wasn't gonna pay him already, got himself paid. Even though they lost, he had a hell of a game. He might have been the best player on the field on both teams between him and
Facts.
K9. They was making both of them was making plays after plays after
All
plays.
night.
Exactly. So with I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes, honestly. And the reason why I'm gonna say yes is because I think his defense is gonna get better. I don't think they're gonna lose any of them guys no time soon. I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach and he's a proven coach because this is not the first time he's had some success as a head coach. He won 2 division titles as the Titans head coach, and their quarterback was who? Ryan Tannehill. Like, come on, quarterback was Ryan Tannehill. Exactly.
Imagine what he could do with Drake.
Yeah, 1 year they was the number 1 seed and had to buy. So he's a great coach,
And
and
Mahomes is in the league.
exactly, he's a great coach, and not just with X's and O's. He's also a player's coach, and guys want to play for him. He know how to motivate his guys, and not just. I don't think this is a one hit wonder. I feel as though he's always going to have Drake May and the Patriots in a position where they can contend and they can compete. And this only being year 2 for him, I'm going to go ahead and say yes because also the way that it seems Drake May carry himself, he's going to put the work in this off season. He will not be playing no video games. He not gonna be outside with his girlfriend. I promise you, Drake May is gonna be putting that work in this off season to get better. So I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
So I love your answer, but I'm gonna say no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my example is gonna sound like it contradicts, but I see Sean McDermott and Josh Allen and Drake May and Mike Vrabel. I
Okay.
think that Sean McDermott came to Buffalo and changed that organization around. I
Mm-hmm.
think that now on a year in, year out basis, and obviously Josh Allen is a part of that. But you also got to think Josh Allen rookie year, nobody saw MVP.
No.
We saw potential. We saw okay, cool. Like he might he's a project. Josh Allen was drafted along the same lines of a Daniel Jones or a Anthony Richardson. Like
Mm-hmm.
based off athletic ability, you 6'5", you got a
Exactly.
lot of arm power. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
see what you can become. Sean McDermott got to get some credit in that. Even if Brian Dable was a part of that, and
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen did the work himself, it happened under the
So.
leadership of Sean
Mm-hmm.
McDermott. He won a lot of games, a lot of regular season games in Buffalo, and he had them competing for the last 8 seasons, 9 seasons, something like that. But at the end of the day, it take more than a coach and quarterback to get the job done. We see that with McDermott and Josh Allen. We see it with Andy Reid and Mahomes once they let everybody else leave the Kansas City Chiefs
Mm-hmm.
facility. We see time and time again. So I do agree with basically everything that you said in terms of the defense getting better. Most of those guys being either under contract or going to be willing to resign because of the culture that they're building and the fact that in a 2-year span they turned their seasons around. and they went from 4-13 or whatever that age is to, I mean, record is to the Super Bowl. But in the
Mm-hmm.
same breath, like I said, I think that what you said in terms of the scope and the landscape of the AFC is too deep on that conference for me to say he's gonna get back to the Super Bowl. I think he's gonna remain in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's 6, 7, 8 other quarterbacks. I added the 8 at the end, but I think it's 7, 8 quarterbacks in the AFC that I could say the same for. Um, you just talked about Mike Vrabel and what he did for Tennessee, and I know you didn't forget this, and I'm hoping that our viewers didn't forget this. But that was prime Derrick Henry,
Mm-hmm.
like MVP, running, voting. I mean, second and third, and voting Derrick Henry.
Almost
So that's to
PK
take
Derrick.
nothing away from the job that the coach did, and game manager or not, Ryan Tannehill had them in games and they was winning games. All you got to do is make sure that we got the ball so that we can give it to him. He did that. But Derrick Henry was on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot forget that. And Travion had a good year once he picked up McDaniel's system. But right now they don't have any powerhouses or workhorses on offense that we can expect to take the load off of Drake May. And what I mean by that is, again, going into a playoff game with Derrick Henry in your backfield, the pressure is on Derrick Henry to perform.
Exactly.
All you got to do is move the ball a little bit so that they can't pack the box every play. And
Mm-hmm.
even still, they was putting 9 people in the box, and Derrick Henry getting to what he want. The
They're
pressure's on
hungry.
Derrick Henry, and he's going to
Mm-hmm.
deliver. Right now, any game that like we clowning Drake May, they was clowning Drake May all week with memes. They talking about Drake May Super Bowl highlights, and it's all every sack and every turnover. Like he getting clowned. What we didn't discuss is the Patriots. What we did, they got clowned, but the Patriots rushed for how many yards? Like 79 or something like that. They talking about Bad Bunny rushed for more yards than the Patriots
Mm-hmm.
offense, and that's two halves of football. The first
Exactly.
half was worse than the second. So I think that on a year in year out basis, right now the outlook or landscape of things is that there's going to be immense pressure on Drake May. And do I
Mm-hmm.
think he'll fold? No. Do I think that any of Josh Allen's playoff fails so far was him folding? No. But at the end of the day, he hasn't advanced beyond the AFC bowl game. And I think that, we judge Josh, but that's impressive to be able to get to multiple AFC bowl games and have a legit shot to get to a
Exactly. A
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
So, I think right now that's what I would say. Like you said, what you trying to do the odds and the probability. If I was giving Drake May a probability, I'd probably go like 35 to 39% chance because I don't think that it's like absolutely not. I just think that it's a lot to go through over there in the AFC, and he gotta buckle down and do it. But it's not impossible at all. And if it
Mm-hmm.
happens, I won't be shocked at all because, like again, we saw this playoff run that he got that dog in him.
Exactly. So I'm not mad at what you said. The only thing that I do want to point out to you, and I think this is my main reasoning for saying yes, and this is the missing factor that I think you're not looking at. Two things. One, Mike Vrabel is a former player. Sean McDermott ain't had the success that Mike Vrabel had playing in the NFL. Mike Vrabel won 3 Super Bowls. Not only did he win 3 Super Bowls, he was a core part as to why they won them 3 Super Bowls. He scored a defensive touchdown in one of them Super Bowls, had 2 sacks and another one of them Super Bowls. He played his role well. And so on top of that, it's the Patriots organization and the owner is still Robert Kraft, one of the best owners in the NFL for a very long time now. He's not afraid to spend money. He's not afraid to make trades. He's going to do whatever it takes to better his team. We've seen it done year in and year out. The Patriots, probably only 2 years, and that was towards the end of Tom Brady career, and we know why. That's because Bill wanted him gone, so Bill wasn't going to suggest we sign the wide receivers. So I can't even remember who Brady was throwing the ball to his last 2 years. But outside of us going at their wide receiver room in 17 and 18, the Patriots have always had a solid, legitimate roster, and that's in part to not just Bill Belichick, also the owner Robert Kraft, who is still there. And so I think because Robert Kraft is the owner, it's the Patriots organization. Mike Vrabel also have the experience as being a player for Robert Kraft. He know that Patriots way. I just think it's too much for them not to figure it out sooner or later.
Like I said, I don't hate that at all. I could also see a situation where Drake kind of got to wait his turn. Um,
I'm
and that
exactly
could be
where
a long
it,
time. I mean,
on
like,
the back end.
yeah, exactly. Like it could be 32, 33. It could be a 10-year gap between when he go back, but it's possible. Like you said, like with that
Elway.
ownership, and we seen, we see the potential in him as a franchise quarterback. I think right now, everybody, that's watching football would consider him a franchise quarterback. And he's
Hmm.
23 years old. So it don't matter if Mike Vrabel stay there or not, Stefan stay there or not. Like
He's still
not nobody else matters, but he's not going anywhere unless he got a traumatic injury or something that's just
they not
super
letting him
crazy
go.
that's going to affect his play. They're not going to let him go. They're going to continue to pay him. If who got paid, what year was Trevor Lawrence? He was year 3 when he got the 55 mil.
Huh?
You mean Jordan
Trevor
Love got the
Lawrence,
56 mil and year what 2 8 games? John
mhm,
always talk about. There's no way they're gonna let Drake May leave. So
exactly.
if he stick to the grind and do what he's supposed to do, like I said, he'll forever have a shot. I just don't right now. If I had to pick a definite yes or a definite no, history tells us it's not likely. Shout out my man Jalen.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's I love what you just said, Ian. So obviously I'm gonna go yes. I think it's more likely than not that he will get it done. But I also, if I had to pick between, is it going to be now or later? I think it will be later. Like you just pointed out, he might get one on the back end. Maybe 7, 8 years from now, he'll get to a Super. He'll get back and he'll win one. Kinda how what Elway did. Elway won his last two in his last 2 years after being in the league for 13, 14 years. And the question every year was, is he going to be the greatest quarterback to retire without winning the Super Bowl? And he got it done in his last 2 seasons. I think we'll see that more likely than what we just saw with Jalen losing in 2023 and then 2 years later you right back and you win. I don't see them right back in 2 years from now. No.
No, no cat, but shout out Saquon though.
Definitely having another shout out Saquon. Yeah. And if we don't have anything else for today, we can leave it there. We appreciate everybody that tapped in. Make sure y'all go check us out on Instagram at Everything X Goals. We got some parlays coming up for you guys. We do know football is over, but we definitely got some basketball plays coming for y'all. And we got a few giveaways that we're going to start doing in the next coming weeks. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. And we catch y'all on the next one.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.